Picked as the bubbliest housing market as prices drop. Let's look into this. Hey guys, Mike Samrah here, GetSold Realty. I just pulled up an article here on Bloomberg stating that Toronto has been picked as the bubbliest real estate market, with Frankfurt not far behind. The world's bubbliest housing market, you got Toronto ranked as number 1, Frankfurt number 2, Zurich, Munich, Hong Kong, Vancouver comes in at 6, Amsterdam at 7, Tel Aviv at 8, 9 Tokyo, and 10 Miami. Many home values in many cities are looking shakier than they have in years as central banks race to tame inflation by jacking up interest rates, suddenly making it far more expensive to get a mortgage. And in some places, notably Toronto, that's already resulted in price declines. But with odds rising, the higher borrowing cost will cause a global economic slowdown and job losses. The downturn in real estate may just be getting started. So let's take a look at this, the housing bubble. The housing bubble. Are we actually in a bubble? And I've used this a lot, and I've spoke about this a lot with a lot of my clients. We are comparing prices to a fictitious benchmark that was set over the last 2 years during COVID. And those numbers, and I use that term fictitious because those numbers were risen due to the fact of the low inventory, the perfect storm, the perfect real estate storm, as I call it. Low inventory, low interest rates, and a huge amount of buyers purchasing these homes. Now, I've told people this, I don't understand. People were willing to do $300,000 over an asking price back 2 years ago and put ridiculous numbers on houses. And now those same houses are $300,000, $400,000 less, and no one's touching them. And it doesn't make any sense. So it just happens to be the way the market is going. Those numbers 12, 24 months ago, I consider those fictitious. If we want to look at numbers, realistic numbers, we've got to be looking at 4 or 5 years prior. Those numbers will give us a proper idea of where the market has gone. And I can tell you for a simple fact, 4 years ago, some of the homes in certain areas, I'm going to use a West End area, were selling for maybe $700,000-800,000, close to $900,000. Then over the pandemic, some of those went to 1.1 to 1.3. And now they're dropping back down to about $1 million, 9 and change, 950, and some of them are selling even back to 700 or 800,000. They're still up from the 4 or 5 year mark. We're still up, but we're down compared to 24, 12, or even 36 months. And that's the hugely important factor in this. We cannot look at the bubble compared to the last 2 years. We've got to now backtrack. Those 2 years were an anomaly. We can't use those as comparisons. Now, I do feel, and I mentioned this in my market update, I do feel that we will see some financial sales happening due to the fact that people that are coming out of interest rates of 1.98%, 2% and having to renew their mortgage at a 4.5% to 5%, that will have an impact on a lot of families. And some people may not be able to afford that mortgage payment, which will more than double. And I have a feeling some of those people will be forced to sell, downsize, rent, relocate, and reconsider their financial situation. So I don't believe we're in a housing bubble. I think it's a fictitious figure when we're comparing to those couple of years. Let me know your thoughts. Put your comments down below. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and share.